Welcome to Sales Training for Podcasters, the podcast designed to better your sales process. We'll be sharing tools, tips, and techniques, whether you love sales or hate sales. If you've got a product or service to sell and a podcast, you've come to the right place. Now, here's your hosts, podcast strategists, Doug Sandler and JJ Flizanes.
Welcome, everyone, to Sales Training for Podcasters. I'm JJ Flizanes.
And that would make me Doug Sandler.
That would make you Doug Sandler.
Well, it would be hard for me to be JJ and you be JJ all at the same time.
This is true. Doug, what are we talking about today?
We're talking about personality.
You got plenty of it.
Well, you know, it's interesting. I've taken a bunch of those personality assessment tests, and I'll tell you, I don't remember any of them. They
Shocking.
Yeah, that's right. I don't remember any of them, but I remember how they made me feel. That's always what I say.
And how did they make you feel?
I don't want to be put in a box. And then I met this guy. His name is Marek Rosenberg. I met him in San Diego. I was somehow, I guess, convinced to speak about podcasting and the benefits of podcasting to a group of people that were highly in tune to the DISC, D-I-S-C, assessment. Tony Alessandro was the guy that was running the event down in San Diego. This is going back a few years ago. And I met Marek Rosenberg at this conference, and there was probably about 100 people at the conference. And he was also speaking at the conference too, and he was speaking about the birds and how they relate to the personality assessments. And as soon as I saw the categorization of each personality type using his segments, I was like, oh my God, I will never forget this ever again. And so I'm excited to be able to talk about this today.
So today is part one of 4 parts. We're going to take one episode for each bird. So there are 4 birds, although I thought that when we did this work in Maryland, we created a 5th bird. Am I correct on that?
Yes.
Okay, we'll add that at the end.
Create a 5th one. We'll add our bonus bird.
Our bonus bird will make it onto the 4th show, unless we think we need a whole show for it. So we started teaching this together at a corporation in customer service training. And it applies to customer service training. It applies to relationships. And it, of course, applies to sales and to sales training, because whether you're selling one-on-one or in a large group or on a podcast and you have a certain type of person, it's good to know what bird type they are and what bird type you are, so you know how to communicate best with them very easily. And the visualization of the bird makes it really easy. So we're not going to tell you all 4 or 5 birds right away.
We're not going to tilt our hand and share with all of them. They're going to have to tune in for every episode. They're going to have to.
Yep. We're doing a 4-part series here, folks. This is how it goes. So we're going to start with a bird. And by the way, in case any of you have taken...
Spoiler alert.
The love language test, or I'm sure in the DISC and some of the personality assessments, or the Enneagram, like you're one of them strongly, and then you have like a secondary. Well, it's the same thing for the birds. And so I asked Doug, what bird do you want to start with? And he said, the bird that we share. Now, it's my first, it's my primary, and it's
my secondary.
Right. So the first bird, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to read to you what the writing is about the bird.
Oh, I like this. This is really good. JJ, you've put this together just like a true leader would.
Thanks, Doug. And I'm also going to match it to the DISC. And I don't know DISC very well, but I saw something, and I'll tell you about it in a second.
And as JJ is talking about the characteristics of this one bird in particular, think about whether these are the characteristics that you relate to the most, or if this is somebody that you are attracted to, or if this is somebody that repels you. Very interesting how you can think about these birds in terms of your relationship to them.
Okay. So I do want to read what do birds have in common with active listening, but I'm not going to mention the birds, but I'm going to lead us into this framework. So the type of bird you most identify with can help you determine the type of communicator you are. Ultimately, the way you communicate identifies the type of listener you are. By identifying yourself using the following birds, you will learn how to effectively communicate with others. First, identify yourself using the birds listed here. Later, start to identify the bird you would use to identify others, so you are best able to see how others send and receive information and communication as well. So, like I said, the first bird we're going to start with, is the eagle.
Yeah, eagle, leader, totally a leader. But okay, let's hear what the characteristics are of an eagle based upon what the bird's profile would be.
So an eagle is a leader, a thinker, big picture people. They are excellent at solving problems and great delegators. If you put an eagle in a group with others, they will take charge and assign responsibilities to others in the group. They are very focused on solving a problem and will create a system or delegate others to fix the problem moving forward. If you are an eagle, you are great at presenting solutions to problems with other employees looking over your shoulder, learning as you communicate with your customer.
You know, it's the first thing that came to mind when you were reading this characteristics of an eagle is, number one, you absolutely 100%, I can see you in this role. I also see the characteristic of someone saying, I don't care about the pain, just show me the baby. You know, and I'm not saying that necessarily in a negative way. I'm saying they're very, very results driven, very focused on making sure not only that it's done, but it's done properly. It's done with a leadership role. It's done from a this is really the way that this is the right way, and this is how it needs to be done.
So if you are a leader and an eagle, so eagle's my primary and it's Doug's secondary. And some of the personality traits of eagle that are positive would be to be a take charge, be a leader, to delegate, like all the things that the paragraph said.
This is the first person that would be volunteering to organize the group. If you're at a networking event and you're put at a table with 9 other people around, or 8 other people, or 7 other people around the table, you're the first one to start assigning positions to those other people that are at the table. I know that because I'm usually, if somebody doesn't speak up quickly, I wait to see who is the natural leader at the table. But if nobody picks up the role, I have no problem jumping in. And if somebody does pick up the role and jumps in, I will be the first one to volunteer to do the activity in that group. So think about leadership from that perspective as well.
So if you are an eagle and you are, let's say, selling on your podcast, or you're talking to a guest, or you're wanting to present an idea to a group of people, whether it be through a webinar or in a Zoom call or on stage. So the leader personality type can be direct. It can be big picture. It could be grandiose. I'm not exaggerating, meaning this is like a bad thing. Just means, again, big picture. We can do it. Long-term thinking, big picture thinking.
What do you mean you don't see the results opportunity here? Come on, you've got to come on board with me, and I'm going to be the one that's going to show you how to do it. I'm going to take you by the hand, and I'm going to drag you through it from the starting line to the finish line.
Yeah. So basically, eagles, just think of yourself, if you have eagle in you, and it may not be your primary, it may be your secondary. If you have an eagle in you, remember that when we get to the birds, not everyone's going to be like you. So I actually just did a show on my podcast on Spirit, Purpose, and Energy, Fit to Love, Women in Relationships, Health and Wealth, about your old soul. It's called The Old Soul's Guidebook, was the last show that I did with Ainsley McLeod, who is a psychic, and he's written a bunch of books, and it's about your soul level. And anyway, I was just thinking, Doug, I want you to listen to that, because we talked a lot about my leadership in this lifetime and my soul patterns, if you will. And my lesson in this lifetime is to learn how to lead and do it from a place of, I don't say benevolence, but some of the words that he used is that I'm learning tact.
Server leader?
Yeah, well, he didn't say it like that. It was more like I have to remember that not everyone's going to interpret me the way that I'm putting it out there.
Well, we were just talking about this today when we were on a hike, and we were talking about someone that is a client of mine, and we will not mention this person's name, but this client of mine is a very strong leader within their own industry, but they don't really understand leadership when it comes to podcasting, or they don't really understand how to take direction really well. And that's one of the cons, I think, of a leader, is they don't take direction real well.
And I think that person's more of an owl than a leader, but than an eagle.
Wait, you just gave away a second one.
Yeah.
You might have to beep that out.
Nope. All right. Well, so it's fine. I'm being honest. But leaders, again, because of the big picture thinking and because of the delegation and the hierarchy, if you will, of getting things done and seeing how it all works together before it actually happens, because you have to, in your mind, structure that out. If you're an eagle, you have to remember that not everyone's like you. And so learning skills on your podcast about how to enroll people, how to involve them, how to engage them, how to paint the picture.
Not roll over them, but engage them. I love that word for someone that is an eagle, because eagles have a tough time relating to people that aren't eagles. They really feel like everybody should just be a follower. And I know it, and I know I'm right, so I'm the leader, so everybody follow me. And especially when you're in a sales position, it's a challenging role to be in, because when you do that and you're an eagle and there's plenty of people that aren't eagles, you're going to roll over them and you're going to miss opportunity to be compassionate and empathetic. And sometimes it's not a great position to be in. And it's just the recognition of who you are. The consciousness of who you are will give you opportunity to gently put some velvet on that sledgehammer as you are maybe making a presentation or seeing an opportunity that you don't want to just go into solve it role, because many leaders, many eagles do want to do that. As leaders, they know the solution, so they want to get right to it. And you need to have more tact than that, especially if you're in a position where you are selling.
One of the biggest things as an eagle to remember, and this came up with said client of ours in Maryland, one of the
very formal of you.
One of the owners was an eagle and had very little patience for people in general, and was not necessarily as heart open. And I guess that's my little caveat for, thinking about the fact that Ainsley's been on my show twice, and the first time we talked about my leadership, and the second time we leaned into it a little bit more. And I think by the third time when you and I had our session with him, I said, look, Ainsley, I said, I understand, and I have, I'm a Pisces with a lot of Sag. So I don't need everybody to like me, and I don't need everybody to listen to me. I'm not going to resonate with everybody. So if you're an eagle and you have like strong personality traits, so I'll just describe myself for a second. I have a big heart because I'm a Pisces and I do care. However, at the same time, I don't have time for bullshit, and I also
no tolerance for bullshit at all. Don't be bullshitting with me, JJ, because if you do, I'm going to leave you in the dust. Goodbye.
Well, I just don't. I'm about efficiency, and why do I need to dance around something we can just poke a hole in right away? And again, some
because
people might.
It's called understanding the personality.
Okay, I understand that, but this is where we're sharing this with you guys.
Yes.
To make decisions. I have made a decision that the way I present information, which has been working very well for me for many years on my podcast, I have dedicated lifelong clients, friends, listeners, and fans who I've changed their lives because I don't beat around the fucking bush.
I've seen the emails, and she is 100% truthful. Tonight you showed me like 10 comments that were made about a presentation that you had done, and I'm like,
and that was one.
I know that woman.
And that was only one episode. And I have that a lot. Now, there are people who cannot stand me, and maybe you're one of them, and I'm okay with that. I don't know you. My presentation style is not going to be for everyone, but I have to make a decision as an eagle that I represent and stand for something. And what I stand for is honesty and directness with heart. I have passion, I have compassion, I have patience when I choose to, depending on who I'm talking to. So you have to sort of pick your battles as an eagle to decide that if you are trying to corral, so I'm going to go back to said client who had a company of people, and he didn't really take the time to see anybody else's point of view because he was number driven, results driven, and just wanted to get it done. But if you are trying to lead people that you are unwilling to understand or get down on the ground floor with, it's like, when animals love me, Cats love me because I talk to them like humans. I treat them like humans. I get down on the floor with them. I do the same thing with children. I don't care what your age is or what, if you're a mammal or a bird, or like, I talk to and approach every living creature pretty much the same. And that's a little bit of the difference of, I think, when you can come to your podcast, when you come to your guests, to your clients, to the stage, to your presentations, to your selling. As a leader, it's figuring out, A, who's on the other side of that, and what bird are they, and how are they listening to you? And then how do you honor who you are, what you're doing, what you care about, in a way that will translate effectively?
So when you're a leader, or an eagle in this particular case, as the birds go, just remember that when you are speaking to your audience, you're speaking to your audience as an eagle, because that's who you are. I don't think JJ is saying change your personality because you don't know who is in your audience, so you need to appeal to everyone. Continue being an eagle. JJ is an eagle. If you've ever listened to Spirit, Purpose, and Energy, her leading podcast, you will see that she is an eagle. That being said, when you have one-on-one relationships with someone, whether they're a guest sitting in that guest seat or an audience member that reaches out to you through a lead magnet that you provide, you have to take on and mirror, to a degree, the personality of the person that you are talking to. Without doing that, and I'm not saying be false, I'm saying understand and temper your eagleness so that you don't come across as condescending, or you don't come across as a tyrant or a brute just trying to force your way into their solution. So just be aware of that. Don't not be you. You have to be you. That's the key to success, no matter what you're doing. Being aware that you're an eagle is the starting point for how to communicate with other people.
All right, I want to take that and run with it a little bit more, because Doug was talking about how other people perceive you. It's a balance. One of the things that Ainsley McLeod said to me about what I'm here to learn, diplomacy was the word, diplomacy in leadership. And I said, I hear you. At the same time, I'm not going to cater to those who don't resonate with me. I'm not going to change who I am to lessen my impact, my message, who I am, because I'm afraid others will misinterpret me. I want to find the ones who already get me, where I don't have to be any different. And then I'm going to cater to them. And I'm going to work with those who already know, like, and trust me, who get me instantly, feel a connection. And then from there, I can massage up and down towards whatever, if I need to be softer in one way or watch my words in other ways. But, let's talk to all of you who aren't eagles, because this is a really important thing to understand. Let's say you are another bird I won't mention, one of the other 3 or 4, and you encounter an eagle on your show who is a guest, or possibly someone you're selling to. If you identify, and I don't mean to pick on men, but a lot of eagle men can come across extremely arrogant, short, lacking empathy, not having time for, don't waste my time, give me the bottom line. You need to understand that if you are wanting to attract leaders, then you need to speak leader. You need to speak leader, you need to sell leader, and you need to be able to not have a pissing match when you're with somebody one-on-one, and know how to give them the floor and know how to kind of back down a little bit and allow them to flap their wings so that you can respect them, gain their trust, and get them to listen to you.
I think the ultimate characteristic, or the positive side, of being someone that's not an eagle but talking to an eagle, is that you're not attached to that leadership role. Oftentimes when you're talking to an eagle that doesn't realize that they're an eagle, but just strong-willed, very huge personality type of person, they tend to want to walk all over people. Not in a negative way necessarily, but their idea is the right idea. And when you're someone that understands that you don't play that role, but you can fit into that role because you have confidence and you have the ability to talk the talk with them. But when they say something that is eagle-like, you have the ability, being a non-eagle as your primary personality, you have no attachment to that eagle role. So you don't feel like you have to defend yourself in being an eagle. You just let them do what they do.
But at the same time, some people do get offended by eagles because they think that they're domineering and that they're bossy and that they're right. And I just want you to listen for when you can identify someone in your life that's an eagle, and instead of judging them as being bossy and self-centered and arrogant and direct and short and lack of empathy, think of it as that they're trying to lead a group, a civilization, a world, a company, employees are trying to create something bigger than they are. And sometimes, I was getting my toes done. I think it was when you and I went to Terranea a couple of years ago for New Year's. And yes, we're in the living room in case you hear Luna. And I remember working with the woman who was doing my nails, and her son was on that World of Dance show with J-Lo. Mm-hmm. And I remember the person doing my toes said something, and I don't know if she referenced that J-Lo wasn't very nice or that she was short or something like that. And for a minute, I remember I got to notice my growth, because when you get to the place where you're a producer of something, you are dealing with so many parts and pieces and people and intricacies. You're not thinking about every single person that you look at. You're going to smile and say, hi, nice to meet you, because maybe you don't have time because you're trying to run a show. And I remember thinking, she's
an eagle.
Totally, she's an eagle.
She's an eagle.
Absolutely. She's also a Leo. So she's a Leo and she's an eagle.
She's in charge. I mean, look at the success that she has had in her life, and she has done it through some adverse circumstances in her life.
Right. But I remember thinking that person was judging her, and I'm sure people do. When people get to be more successful, they run more stuff, they're in charge of more stuff, and then the person down the food chain thinks that they're not a nice person,
right,
because they're busy. They misinterpret that. And so if you're not an eagle and you are offended by eagles, or you don't like leaders or anything like that, and you have somebody on your show or someone in your life, or even if you're selling to somebody some of the services, or you're dealing with how to grow your podcast, how to interview differently, how to get a new celebrity, how to deal with a company for sponsorship, and you're dealing with an eagle, keep that in mind, that if they come off and they rub you the wrong way, it might be you feeling insecure and misinterpreting what they're doing. Just remember that it's probably most likely not about you. It really never is. So if you can just see who the eagles are in your life, if you're not one, and get a clearer picture that they are born a different way than you, then you can have more compassion and better success. Now, I just wanted to bring up that in the DISC system, which again, I am not at all familiar with. I just happened to look this up. But we were comparing the DISC system to the birds, and the eagle would be the D. It would be dominant. Eagles are daring, decisive, direct, and driven. So that is what it says here for the DISC. There are 4 styles known by the acronym DISC. And here we go. Dominant is the eagle, D.
So there may be people that are in your life that have that eagle personality and style, the high D, but that aren't successful people. And sometimes they come across as a know-it-all that does not have any success. Just know that is just where they are with their personality. It doesn't mean that they are bad people, and it doesn't mean they do know it all. It just, you have to be more tolerant of an eagle that has not yet spread their wings and soared. That is just their personality type. You're going to find just as many eagles that have success in their lives as eagles that don't have success in their lives. And don't take offense no matter who you're talking to. Just know that is their personality trait.
So if you think you're an eagle, then you found your primary. Now, you haven't heard the other 4 to 5 birds yet, but you have a primary and a secondary. If you feel you have eagle traits, but maybe you don't feel 100% eagle, Doug, you have found your secondary. So tune in to next week's show when we go over the next bird. We'll most likely go with Doug's primary next. And looking forward to talking more about that. Hopefully today you learned something that will help you not only communicate better in your sales process. I would recommend that you start, when you look at who you're going to be talking to and selling to, whether it be, again, as a group or one-on-one, try to assess their bird type so you can change your communication.
So Eagles, get out there and soar. Do something good.
See you next week.
See ya.
Thanks for listening to Sales Training for Podcasters. To get additional information and to access more amazing content that will boost your sales game, visit salestrainingforpodcasters.com. Hey, do us a favor. Rate and review our show on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. Again, thanks for listening.